people have these next levels for you before you even think about getting there. It's like the house. I did not want a house.
Right.
Like, we moved to Dallas, and the first thing people asked me was like, "Oh, you could afford a house." Well, I could have afforded a house, but do I want to live in a house? And you get this whole notion, everybody around you lives in a house, so now I should live in a house. You have to know what you don't want. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast. We are your hosts, Anthony.
And I'm Janoka.
And our goal is to help 9-to-5ers create more impact, income, and influence outside their jobs. You know why?
Why?
Because that's how you live a more fulfilling life, man. We want to get y'all. We want to get y'all out the rat race. We want to help y'all escape the rat race so that you could kind of do what you want to do, and it doesn't have to be, going out and being a billionaire. It could just be, listen, I want to travel more.
To have options. There we go.
To have options. That's the whole key to life. When you realize that, then everything changes.
As usual, we want to thank you guys for returning back, and make sure you're subscribing, sharing, liking, commenting, letting everyone know what you're listening to. I actually have a review that I would like to read. I haven't read a review in a while. If you've been here from the beginning, you know I used to read it every episode. This one is from Rasheen. He said, or she, sorry. This podcast is amazing, motivating, and all around inspirational for me to continue in my business and scale it to new heights. Just purchased their cleaning business blueprint course and anxious to see what I can do with it. So welcome, Rasheen, to CBU, a Cleaning Business University, and thank you for leaving us that review. We really appreciate it.
And if you guys didn't know, we teach people how to launch and scale 6-figure cleaning businesses without cleaning houses.
Yes.
And along those lines today, Janoka had a topic that she wanted to talk about, but I don't know if you guys saw this LinkedIn post from about a week ago, and I did want to discuss it because a few things that stood out to me. So if you guys don't know about LinkedIn,
in Dallas.
Yeah, it's in Dallas, number one. So if you guys don't know about LinkedIn, it's a platform that recruiters go on and occasionally they'll post job listings for people to apply to. And I came across this job listing.
You didn't come across it. Social media came across it.
Social media came across this. I'm like, yo, we need to talk about this. And at the top of it says, do not share with candidates. So
somebody made a mistake.
Internal job posting. And it got out there. So it's in Dallas, Texas. And this kind of goes to when people ask us, is Dallas, Texas racist? And we say no. But
no, I don't say no.
Listen, I love Dallas, Texas, so
it's not what I faced before.
But the rate was really good. It's for a Salesforce and insurance claims in Dallas, Texas. Contract hire, remote. Shout out to remote positions, and the rate is $75 per hour. So we all like, yo, let's dig into this.
I'm just laughing at it.
But in the notes section it says only born U.S. citizens, quote unquote white, who are local within 60 miles of Dallas, Texas, don't share with candidates. Now,
not quote unquote white, parentheses white. It's not quote unquote. Quote unquote means that's not clear. It simply says that the person should be white for this role. Needs to be white. I'm sorry, not should be.
Now, listen, I'm all for equal opportunities. I'm all for sharing. I'm all for even, you want to promote people that you know. You want to keep it in the family. I get that. But when you start talking about like, all right, we ain't going to let you in due to race, and it's
and that's what we face day to day. This is what we try to explain to people. How can we get ahead when it's things like this that we more than likely don't ever see, more than likely they never really flat out say. It's just things like this, and it's kind of like, it feels like a slap in the face, but it's like, we know these things are happening in the back regardless, right?
Yeah.
But to see it written is like shaking my damn head. That's all I can say to that. Shaking
like
my
you
damn
said,
head.
listen, I'm all about showing me who you are.
I mean,
I'd rather you show me who you are so I can make a decision if I want to rock with you or not versus you letting me in or you being around me. Well, I'd rather you not let me in.
They not. These people are not.
I'd rather you not let me in because of, whatever you believe in or don't believe in, and you let me know that. Or you don't let me know, just don't let me in. I'd rather you not let me, I'd rather you say, if
you'd rather be not let in than let in the struggle.
Exactly.
Than like have to be fighting all your life.
I've been fighting my whole life for this.
Exactly.
Like, no, I'd rather you just don't let me in. There was some establishment in Dallas I had went to, and they had all these rules and regulations around. Yeah, they had all these rules and regulations around like, oh, you can't wear Jordans, you can't wear baggy jeans, you can't. And they were essentially describing
They were just
urban
lying.
attire.
Yeah.
Now,
But when you remember when we went on their Yelp and look
Yep.
at their reviews, they're actually a franchise, and in all their cities, they had the same people leaving reviews about the same things.
and it's not just about the dress code. Like, you could say, I don't want you to be like urban, which is fine. Like if it's an upscale spot, but this is a sports
like maybe
bar.
no streets. Yeah, it was definitely.
I'm not going to.
And that same night I got in. Remember?
You got
My
in?
sneakers and cut up jeans.
So it was specifically, listen, I'm all, this is why we talk about having options so you never have to beg someone else. Like, I don't want, and this is not and somebody was like, why you guys always have like black, was it black comments or black conversations on your podcast? Number one, we're black.
Who the hell asked that? And if you did, that's a foolish question because we are black.
That was somebody on YouTube or something like that. And they're like, why are you always talking about black? Because this is what we go through. So,
No, I think their question was the testimonials. Why is it always like black people or whatever?
yeah, this is who we are. This is who we
And
relate
that's
to.
That's who most of our audience is. Like, I mean, we're not against anybody, of course. If there's anybody that has something to share, we're willing to share. We had a white student that we shared information to as well. So
Yeah.
definitely it's open for everybody, but we are black people. So most of the time, black people will be attracted to us.
So yeah, this is
Life.
a conversation that I'm sure if you aren't black, you saw this and just was like, all right, whatever, or it's not cool. But for us, this is why we talk about having options. This is the importance of having options. So it's not like I'm not begging anyone for a job. I don't have to try to fit in with you. I don't have to try to be someone that I'm not. I don't do any of that for your approval. This is why we say have options outside your 9 to 5. Just in case you come across stuff like this, you go like, you know what, cool, I'm out. Peace.
Yep.
Do my own thing. The importance of having options. That's the purpose of our podcast, to help you create options outside your 9 to 5.
What happened with this company? Did anybody do anything about it?
They took this job ad down. Obviously, they should have.
It said keep it internal, don't share.
And number one, it shouldn't have been out there, but I think they had took it down after some backlash, and I don't know. It's just one of those. It's
That's
just one of those
social
things
media
that's
for
just,
you, right?
it's gonna go, and we're gonna be outraged for 5 seconds and go about my day. I was
Right.
outraged for 2 seconds, and I was like, all right, cool. Ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm not trying to get a job from them, and if I was, I would have been out anyway. I would have been happy not to work there. So
Yeah, I agree.
this is the importance of having options outside your 9 to 5 people.
So today, I just realized you didn't talk about what we was going to talk about at the beginning. I brought up the topic to Anthony about like mindset and why don't we ever believe in ourselves? Like, why don't we ever? And we had an episode. Well, the episode we had was like, why is it never enough? But more along the lines of, you know, why don't we believe in ourselves? Why does it take other people sometimes? For example, I saw a clip of Chloe. You know, Chloe and Haley, the sisters.
Twins?
They're not twins.
They're not?
No. What?
The Beyonce twins?
They're not twins. I
literally
just said they're
twins.
not twins.
Nah, there's no way.
Chloe's older than Little Mermaid.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. Anyway, I saw a clip of Chloe. She was on a Drew Barrymore show, and I don't know if you were on social media. The past few weeks, they've been kind of making fun of her because of her album sales. I guess it wasn't a high number. I don't know. It just came out last week, whatever. So she was on a Drew Barrymore show, and they were both just talking about how they get in their head and they have to talk themselves out of like feeling these feelings. And she was saying that she says to herself, like, I am enough, I deserve this, and the things that she does to kind of get out of that. And it's like, and we all know that we all go through things, but you sometimes think, a lot of people sometimes think, well, they have so much money, they have all these things on this level, what are they questioning? What is there to second guess? But if you think about it day to day about yourself, many things you question, at least for me, you question, am I being a good enough wife? Am I being a good enough mother? How am I performing? How am I showing up for friends and family? Just so many things, even with our businesses. Are we doing enough? Are we pouring in enough? You just constantly are questioning yourself, even though you may be seeing rewards, you may be seeing things that are going well. It's like you don't believe it. Like you don't believe that you're capable, or you don't believe that it's enough, basically. So it's kind of, I was just asking that question of why do we constantly get in our head? And that's why we have a mindset coach, by the way, because of that reason.
Yeah, that's a huge drawback of always trying to achieve
something.
and then, but I think it's very important that we continue, or even anyone listening to this the podcast, is just continue. People say it all the time. It's kind of cliche now, like get in the environment, get in the room. But if you be around enough people who are doing the thing that you want to do, eventually it's going to rub off on you. Like if you around people who drink all the time, eventually you might pick up a drink. If you're around people who smoke all the time, you may eventually pick up smoking. You would hope if you're around people who are, let's say people are very religious, you may start to, oh, wow, see the power in religion in their lives. And you may say, well, I want to feel that. I want to be around that. I want to see what they're experiencing. So you may say to yourself, all right, I want to be around people who are experiencing this religion. You get around people who start making money. You start to say to yourself, all right, I want to, that some of that money might start rubbing off on you. But sometimes it's not enough just being in the area. You got to actually take action behind it too.
Right. And I think about it specifically a lot of times when it comes to maybe our students and stuff like that, because there are, other people at this point, at least when we started, I didn't know of anybody, but at this point, there are other people that sell cleaning business courses, right? And where you're like, sometimes you're like second guessing yourself, what makes them come to us? But at the same time, we're like, we say all the time that our story is different, right?
Yeah.
We stand out for whatever reason that you like us, you hate us, whatever it is, our story is different. We hear from people like you ran into a coworker.
Yeah.
And what you could say a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. So shout out to my dude too. So
I was about to say, don't say his name.
nah. So I was driving and he recognized the car. And he gave me a wave and I got out and we started talking. And it just reminded me that when you are like, your story is what makes you unique. Like he could be around multimillionaires or whatever it may be, but I was his direct manager. So he was like, yo, I want to continue to remind you that, you guys, your story changed my life. You changed my thought process. You changed my outlook on what's possible. Now you may say, all right, I know a bunch of people who got podcasts or paid off debt or was on Good Morning America or...
I hear you say a little stunt, brother.
Like, you may know a bunch of people doing those things, but can you relate to their story specifically? Can you relate to, oh, they came from the projects. Oh, you may look like me. You may talk like me. So, like, your story makes you unique. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever think that you can't do something because everybody else is doing it. No. There's a reason why people like you. There's a reason why people come to you. Your story may change someone's life, but the problem is you are too scared to share your story. You're like, oh, I don't want to tell nobody about this. I don't want to share this because someone may hate on me or someone may dislike it. No. Or the opposite may happen. The opposite may be that someone's life is now impacted because you decided to continue to share what you learned and what you know. So your story is definitely going to make you unique and no matter what you're doing.
And then, people give you your flowers, i.e. like what your coworker did, give you your flowers and you're like, thank you so much. You shared the story with me and then you keep it moving, right? You're like, what's next? What do I need to do next in regards to goals, in regards to keeping up with whatever I'm doing? So it's hard because on one side of it, you're like, I know my impact. I know that, we have students killing it. I know we've done this and the other. And then the other side, it can feel like it's just not enough, right? And I just say that even with, with our daughter, right? So sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm upstairs working all day and she's with the nanny. So I'm like, let me pop in enough to make sure I'm still showing up enough, right? Or on the weekends, we're saying we got to do activities because all week she's with the nanny. At some point, it's going to be all week she's at school and so on and so forth. So you're constantly, even if you feel like you're doing enough, it just doesn't feel like enough. And you get in your head constantly about that. And I don't know how to turn it off. I'm not saying I'm sitting here all day, every day, beating myself up. But you're constantly just wondering, what can I do better on? And one side of it, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to do better in life, right? But I'm a big believer of too much of anything is not good for you. Anything, water, anything you come to me, too much of anything is not good for you. So I think that what helps you to recognize that I'm doing enough and I deserve whatever is coming my way? That's kind of like the overall question and stuff like that. I think we have each other. So that's helpful. I know many times we talk each other off the ledge of, You did that. You did this. What more could you do? That's a question.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big question that we ask each other in the household.
And it's funny because every couple episodes, we come back to not a similar conversation, but a conversation around like what's next or
Or people ask that.
And then even if you think about it at your job, like you get to a role and you get to a role in your position. And do you ever want to be the CEO of that company? So think about it right now. If you guys are working a job, think about would you ever want to be CEO of the company you are working at? Think about it. Like literally, stop. Think about it. Yes or no? I need to know. Yes or no? I mean, for you, let's even talk about that.
No,
you would never want to be the CEO of your company. So, in my opinion, or at least I'll talk about my own role. I never want to be CEO of the company I worked at. I realized when I got to a certain point, I did not want that position above me. Remember that? I was like, we were always talking about like, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
You have to be very clear about what you want and more importantly, what you do not want in life. All right, I'm about to get my bag. I'm about to get my bag. Y'all listening?
I'm in the room.
Yes,
I'm listening.
Because I thought about this conversation that we did. I literally had this conversation when I was at my job. This wasn't like the last 1 or 2, 3. This was like maybe like 3-4 years back. And it was like, what is next for Anthony? I mean, you have these mid-year reviews, you have the end of year reviews, and
quarterly reviews,
and they ask you like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal in the company? And you start to say, oh, I'm good. Oh, I don't. You start to at some point you do not want to go to that next roll up. You do not want to go to the next position up because you realize
what it takes to be in that next role.
What you want in life and what you do not want in life, more importantly. So I realized that my manager was traveling a lot. He managed a huge, literally 75% of the company. Time away from the family, time away from the wife, time away from the kids, like having to go out to eat all the time, being on a plane, drinks. Now that those parts may sound fun, like traveling a lot. But you're away from your family. You're not able to kind of get in a healthy routine. You're kind of doing this. You're kind of doing that. And I got to experience a little bit of that when we were transitioning down to Dallas. And I was like, yo, I always want to travel after my 9 to 5. I would love to do that. And then it became, I was traveling, first it was like every quarter. Then we came out to the wedding. It was like every month. I'm coming back to Dallas, come back to New York, back to Dallas, back to New York. I said, I do not want this life. I literally said that. So when I got to that role, I said, I do not want to travel. I do not want to leave Dallas. I'll come to New York once in a while. But I realized more importantly than what I wanted was what I did not want my life to look like. And that is a very important part that we miss when we're trying to set goals, when we're trying to get to that next level. It's like in that next level, deciding what you do not want to do. And we discovered a lot of that during this past week of just discovery calls.
Yeah. And I think that
what is a discovery call too? Like, so we're talking like different people in like different industries, and they're talking about how to get to that next level in business. And we realized like, yo, that's great and all, you got that type of money, but there's some things we do not want to do to get that type of money.
Because we know the work it would take. So it's kind of like, do you want to make $5 million a month? Probably not. Because the type of work that it would take to make that, and I am willing to put it in.
And the people that you have to manage. Right. I don't want to manage that many people. Right. I don't want to have that many people's livelihoods dependent upon me.
Which is, I was going to bring back to the point you've heard us say a few times on this podcast, is that when we make decisions, we think about it with how does it affect our life, the life that we want to live, right? That's a huge for us. No matter how much money it is, no matter what it is, like, how is it going to affect our life that we live day to day? Is that something that we want to do, basically? And if it's a no, it's a no. This is not something we're taking on. And so that's a big deal for us. But I think another thing that plays into kind of what you were saying and thinking about internally is society, about that what's next and if it's enough. Because what happens is, somebody gets engaged, they say, when are you getting married? You get married, they say, when are you having a baby? You have a baby, they say, when are you having another baby? Right? You get, you move to a city, when are you moving into a house? It's a constant with society as well. Even when you get a new job, okay, when are you getting a promotion? You had this car for 10 years, when are you getting a new car? It's a constant with society of it not being enough, basically. Like, it's just not enough. And I guess that's what feeds into it for yourself, of you feeling like it's not enough and I need to do more, society, and then yourself. So I guess my question would be, how do you manage that day to day, you would say?
One thing I think, at least for at least for us, and I want you guys to think about this too as you listen to the podcast. Societal norms keep us. You ever heard the quote "Keeping Up the Joneses"? Yeah.
Yeah. Who? What you mean? Have you ever heard the quote?
So
who hasn't heard that quote?
We don't have a studio audience. I'm talking to you.
The quote. It's like, you know the quote. That's how you say it. Not have you heard of it.
You know the quote, "Keeping Up the Joneses."
Yeah.
And there's another quote that "Keeping Up the Joneses will keep you broke." Now, this is not just a money thing. This is just societal thing. Like I don't even know who the Joneses is or if they're even real. But you get this whole societal normal.
Oh, that's the Jetsons. Okay.
So you get this whole societal thing where like people have these next levels for you before you even think about getting there. It's like the house. I did not want a house. Right. Like we moved to Dallas, and the first thing people asked me was like, "Oh, you could afford a house." Well, I could have afforded a house, but do I want to live in a house? And you get this whole notion, everybody around you lives in a house, so now I should live in a house. You have to know what you don't want. I was like, yo, you know what? I don't want to live in a house right now. I want to be mobile. I want to get up and go when I want. I want to be able to move when I want. I want to be able to kind of come and go as I please. If we want to move back to New York, I want to be able to just get up and go. I don't have to worry about, oh, we got to find a buyer for the house. We got to sell the house, or we got to get the house rented out. No. When my lease is up in my apartment, I get to just get up and move. Like that's the pros of having an apartment. Now, when we got to that point where we was about to have Alani, and it was like, all right, cool. We know we're gonna have a daughter, and we want our daughter to have a house. Yeah, we want our family to be in a house. We're gonna have more space. We want to have a backyard. So it wasn't about keeping up the Joneses at that point. For us, it was just like, all right, this is what we want in our life. And what we did not want was to continue living in an apartment surrounded by a bunch of people and not having our own space. So I think that's the biggest thing. Going back to your question was how do we kind of manage that? I think a lot of it just comes down to knowing what you do not want and don't let societal norms kind of pressure you into that next level. And especially like one question you asked, well, like but if you dating somebody, like, all right, well, y'all been dating for a while. We don't ask that question about when you get married.
I never asked.
We never ask that question because you don't know
what's going on. I don't know what's going on in your relationship. I don't know if you want to get married. I don't know if y'all should be getting married. Let's be very clear.
Maybe y'all just dating. Maybe y'all just dating.
Maybe y'all just having fun. Like,
yeah. Like we never ask that question. Or when you having a baby, that's a big one. Do not ever ask anyone, man, woman, whomever,
in
that
this day
question.
And age, especially, I think we all should be educated not to ask that question.
There's a ton of reasons. People may not have the ability to have babies, or they may not just want them. Like it's fine, but you cannot let societal norms. And then you hear a lot of that. You hear a lot of that stuff now, like women being more independent. They're going further in their careers and less likely to have kids as they go on,
or having kids older in life.
Listen, if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. Like we wanted to have kids at this time. We planned it out. We were very like, this is what we want our life to be. We didn't want to have kids too young, and now we kind of, struggling a little bit. We wanted to be able to travel the world before we had kids, and then we did that, and we had a kid, and we traveled the world even more. So it's very important to know exactly what you do not want in life so that you can know the things that you need to be doing.
And I think that having someone to kind of speak to and provide clarity and accountability can be helpful as well. I mean, we have each other, but even if you have friends, I have friends that you can speak to and be vulnerable with about the things that you're facing, that you're going through, because most of the times it's not just you.
Yeah.
Right. So when I go back to this, because it's something important for me, like at least 4 other people in my life had kids around the same time. So we kind of lean on each other when it comes to those things during the time of feeling like, oh, this, that, or is your child doing this, or this is happening, and how you're feeling, and having that type of community. I think that helps you to not feel like I'm not doing enough, or helps you to feel like I'm not good enough, or helps you to feel like this can't happen for me. Because even though we sit here with you, we're human beings, right? We face things like that. We face it personally. We face it in our business. And that's why we have coaches as well. You know what I mean? You see it all the time with players on the field and players playing basketball. Like they get in their head when people start speaking trash or whatever they're doing. They get in their head. They could be the best player, but they still get in their head. So just kind of knowing, I think that that's normal for us as human beings. That's normal day to day. But how do you manage it and not let it stop you from moving forward, or not let it stop you from growing? Because then you would miss out on life, essentially.
Yeah, going back to that coaching conversation and setting those expectations. Like we literally had a call this week. I don't know how these numbers keep getting higher and higher, but it was like, all right, well, you guys did, $100K in a month, $500K in a month is possible, right?
And, they asked, what's your goal? What's your goal, right? And so in being in this business, we've learned that they say if your goal is 50, your goal really should be 80. Because most of the times you're probably limiting yourself. Most of the time, right? So we just set an outrageous goal. They're like, yeah, that's doable. And we're sitting there, we get off the phone, go talk to each other like, can you really imagine that? I don't know if that's even possible, right? And we've been doing this, for a long time, 3-4 years. We've been doing it for a long time. And one would say, well, why would you think it's not possible? Because at some point you felt like you making any money from digital products or you making any money wasn't possible. And now you've grown and you've shown that you can do it. So why would you even question that? But it's like, it's not that easy. You constantly have to have people like pouring into you and telling you and encouraging you and showing you, like you said, getting into those rooms that what is possible, basically.
Yeah, and it was even like, even with our cleaning business, I think, last month we did like close to 60,000. And I remember our goal being like 10 at one point.
Yeah.
So, it'd be great if we did 10. And you realize 10 is not enough.
Yeah.
You got
for what the life that you want to live. Yeah.
And you got travel, and then like, I don't want to pick up the phones anymore, so I got to hire somebody. Oh, I want somebody to manage this, manage that. And you realize, okay, that's not enough for the lifestyle that you do want to live. But then you have to remember going back to like being intentional about what you do not want. So in order for me to do this, I do not want to do this, this, and this. So what's a happy medium between, all right, let's say the number is 100,000. All right, well, I know I got to do this, this, and this. I don't want to do two of those things. All right, so I'm comfortable with doing 50 to 70,000. Maybe that's the case, right? But knowing and being so intentional about what you do not want to do. So even when we was on that coaching call, I was like, we had a call. We was like, listen, we don't want to do that. Like, we're very comfortable not doing that. Because they do it, that's fine for them. They don't have kids. They aren't married. They don't travel. Like, this
is not the same life.
We live a completely different life. Yeah. We like to travel, visit family, be in New York. Would you rather have, 500,000? Maybe.
Sounds great, but I don't want to put in the work.
Yeah, maybe. But do I want to manage, 10, 12, I gotta be realistic 14 with people? Myself. So we're going back to that conversation around if you don't want to live your manager's life or your CEO's life, your CEO may be making $2 million a year, but your CEO has to be an operating officer for an entire company of 30, 40, 250 people all the time, never off.
That ain't it for me. But it's funny though, because sometimes me and you, it's funny because you are very like, we can do this, let's get it done. But then sometimes when it comes to the money, you shoot lower than what I say that we can do.
I don't know why that is.
I don't know why that is either.
I think that goes back to...
It's funny, though.
I think that goes back to that scarcity mindset. Again, I see people doing it. They look like me. They talk like me. They sound like me. They're from the same neighborhood as me. But some part of my mind just makes me feel like it's not possible.
Yeah.
Or I don't deserve it. I think I deserve everything that I want. But I just don't see it being possible until I actually achieve it. Now... That's my own limiting belief. That's my own limiting mindset. And we talked about this on our community call. If you guys didn't know, commercial break. We also have a community, Cleaning Business University community, where we do live coaching calls. And one of the coaching calls we did was just having a scarcity mindset. And I was reading, what book was it? The 10X Rule. I was reading that by Grant Cardone. And they had like 30 traits of highly successful people. 30 traits of highly successful people. And one of them...
That could be an episode. Go ahead.
One of the traits of highly successful people was, that actually could be an episode, was not having having an abundance mindset. So not having a scarcity mindset.
That's kind of what we're speaking about here, yeah.
Yeah, not having a scarcity mindset. The opposite of that's having an abundance mindset, like believing you could do anything, like literally anything in the world that you want to do because you deserve it. And
that's
not just you deserve it, but you being possible, you being positive about it too.
Yeah, because when we have conversations and we speak about, you tend to have a scarcity mindset with money. And I'm like, I don't believe that, all 5 of our businesses are going to shut down all at once. And I'll constantly say, I feel like we can make money regardless of if something, I don't know, happens with all of our businesses. I think that we can still make money. And you're always like, but he is the one that it's, because you would think that it would be a little opposite just simply because you listen to all these podcasts, you read all these books, you read from these higher level people that kind of speak about that abundance mindset and kind of pour into your brain about all these things. You see all these things as possible from everybody out there. I only hear secondhand from you bringing it back to me. And I'm generally like, yeah, we could do that. We could hit that. We could do that. So it's just I don't know if it's a personality thing or if it goes back to what you've shared before on here, just kind of feeling like money can disappear and not having it at some point. But it is I guess, a weird flip in dynamics.
Yeah, I don't even know where to. It could just be like, again, going back to upbringing. So you know, we talked about our upbringing in one of the previous episodes, but that's what the thing when you start to think about where some of your challenges come into place. That's just one of them. You know, my upbringing, like I said, I worked from an early age, so I knew that in order for me to make money, I had to work. If I didn't work, I didn't make money. So now we're at this place of quote unquote abundance where money is all around us. We attract it. It always comes to us easily through me.
All the affirmations?
All the affirmations that you could think about. So now when it actually comes down to it, affirmations are great. Saying it is great. Sounding is great. But actually believing it and taking the action behind it is completely different. So that's just one of the challenges that I gotta work through.
I don't disagree, but think about it for yourself. Are there things that you kind of constantly beat yourself up about or feel like you're not doing enough? What's the reason behind that? And is there any truth to it, right? I know there's a lot of things that I think about specifically. This is kind of separate, but when we were working with our doula, which is someone that can assist with when you're having a baby, which we've had her on the episode as well. And there were things I would come up with that I've heard, stereotypes I've heard, things that I'm scared about. And she's like, do the research. It's like 1 in a millionth woman that goes through that. Or just look it up or do some real research around it to see. Not that what you're saying is crazy, but it's not likely, essentially, right? Some of the things that we're thinking about ourselves or the negative thoughts that we have or the way that we're second guessing ourselves. So think about those things. Talk to someone if you would. I would say friends and family, but there's always therapists out there as well. So
I got a point on that too. I was this is like earlier on. It was a mentorship conversation, and we kind of went through the worst case scenarios that could possibly happen. And we went through, all right, what if this happens? Okay. What if this happens? Okay. And we literally went from the top all the way down to the bottom. And we said, if everything that you said came true and they did happen, where would you be?
Where would that leave you?
Where would that leave you? And the outcome of that conversation, she said, was where you would end up at your bottom is other people's tops. So when you think about it like that, they was like, you're really not going to do that bad. And if you do that bad in your eyes, you will, but then the other side of that was when the stock market crashed, people were losing millions of dollars. Now they had net worths of, 100, 200, 50 million, whatever it is. And they dropped down to 5, 10, 15, 20 million. Think about that. People were they were committing suicide because their net worth dropped that drastically. Now,
that's a lot of money.
Their bottom is other people's tops. So when you think about it like that, all right, your worst case scenario is, 5, 10 million, but that's people's maximum lifetime earnings.
Ever.
But when you think about it, you have so much attached to that, not just the money, everything that came with that, or just where you were in a life standpoint, everything that came with that is not just money. It's notoriety, it's fame, it may be your lifestyle for your friends, your family, everybody around you depends on that lifestyle. And if you can only support that, yes, it may be somebody else's best case scenario, but your whole family, your lifestyle, everything else is dependent upon that. So that's why they were like, I'm out of here. Now, there's too much. This is like outside of money and all that stuff, but there is too much at stake to be thinking like that. But I can see the relation between the two.
That was deep, real deep when you mentioned people hurting themselves.
No, because it's a real thing. When he was trying to compare like your worst case scenario to somebody's, best case life scenarios. All right, cool. But if you think about it like this is where they went from to that, and that's what their cause was. But
the other side of that generally is what I tell people. I think maybe I think about it this way as a therapist is like, however, my feelings or whatever it is I'm going through is true to me.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I do understand that, I lost 10 million and some people would never touch that, right? I'm just going to go with that example. The losing 10 million is true to me, okay? And these feelings are warranted and these feelings are real. And sometimes you don't want to hear that, right? Well, some people are doing worse than you. You know what I mean? And when you're
it could always be worse.
It could always be worse. And it's like, yeah, but it's worse for me right now. I don't need to hear about John and anybody else. So it's kind of twofold when it comes to that. But want to thank you guys again for coming and listening to the...
Whoa, you just wrapped up real quick.
Oh, you had something else?
Nah, you good. Go ahead.
What's that? I want to thank you guys again for listening to us week after week after week. Every Tuesday, we drop More Than a Side Hustle podcast.
Yes.
We've been having guests on this year. Let us know how you're feeling about that. We've been enjoying it. The conversations kind of just flow with everyone that we've been able to record with. So please be sure that you're checking out our episode every week. Share, subscribe, YouTube, we're growing on there. Listen to us and go ahead and leave us a 5-star review as well.
Yeah, we gave you a lot of call to actions. Just leave us a review with a rating. And let me tell you how that helps us.
Yeah.
That helps us get more qualified guests. That helps us reach higher heights. That helps us get on the charts. When you got a little rinky-dink podcast, you can't get like somebody like Oprah on here. Eventually, right? We're gonna reaching for the stars.
You just say names. You never know.
You never know
who's listening.
Exactly. So if we only got 100 reviews. No, help us get those reviews. Stop what y'all doing. If you are driving, we're gonna tell you to pull over, leave us a review. If you are listening right now, if you listen to the very end of this episode, there is no way you did not leave us a review.
At this point, come on now, people.
We ain't begging y'all, but no, appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for listening to another episode of the More Than a Side Hustle podcast, and we'll see you next week.
Yes.
Peace.
Bye-bye.